Hey guys, what's up? Leighandnari here and welcome to another video.
Today we will be discussing how to support your partner.
So, how do you support your partner? I'm still trying to figure it out. I get reminded every day. No, I'm joking.
Just before we get into that, I think you need to understand that we need to rewind a little bit more.
We do.
A lot of people have been asking us how we work together, like how do we make it happen? And for us to answer those questions, we need to go back.
We do.
For when he got started. When he started.
We need to go back a long way. It was like nearly a decade ago now. So let's rewind to 1980s and.
That's not when we met.
I'm joking. She wasn't even born in 1980s. She was born in 87. But look, so let's rewind back to the beginning of our relationship, because it's important to note that we were two very, very different people at the beginning of what you see today. Mm-hmm. And of course, we've grown over the years. We've grown together. We've grown independently, and we've grown in our values and ethics in what we want out of life. But where we started was actually in university. So we both went to the same university. Nari was doing what you call a very academic course. I was doing a course that wasn't so academic, according to her. And there are reasons behind that, which we'll speak more about in this video. But essentially, I think when we met each other, Nari was very academic. She was doing a very high level science degree. She wanted to work within research, and she had massive career driven goals. Whereas, how was I?
You were totally the opposite. I think he was hardly in class.
Only the morning classes, who can relate?
I don't know. I think you were a bit confused of what you wanted, like from science.
True.
Yeah.
So you're saying I wasn't smart?
No, not at all, not at all. Like when I was like very academic and career driven, I think you were more like you were sure that you did not want to have a boss. You wanted to work. You were always trying different things and always wanting to see what's out there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I don't even take offense to what she's saying. You know, we share these thoughts all the time. And I think for me, I kind of chose my degree because I had started a different degree, realized I didn't really like it, so I stopped going to that one. Didn't like the people, didn't like the university, didn't like the course. And I was kind of just looking for some sort of direction. So I ended up picking the course I ended up doing just as because it was a nutrition and exercise science degree. I wanted to break into, I liked fitness and personal training, that sort of thing, but I didn't just want to get a personal training certificate or accreditation. I wanted to give myself more options because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. So I did the degree with a view that if I want to go into personal training, I can do that. If I want to go into something else, more kind of sciencey or more sports related, I could also do that. Didn't end up doing any of them because, as Nari says, that just wasn't how I think I was wired or how I've been training myself to think over the last few years. So I just did it just to have something on a piece of paper ultimately that said I have a degree. But
well, I was the total opposite. I knew that I wanted to do something in science since I was 6 years old, and like I knew it's either being a doctor in genetics or in research. And so my goal and my focus was totally onto getting those goals achieved, and I did it. I went all the way there and done it, and I think I've never had an open mind into looking at anything else, just because I've put so much energy and focus in what I wanted to do, what I thought I wanted to do, because at the end I got there and I was like, this is not what I want to do. And that's the reality of things. And then, I think meeting each other, we understood that, okay, we had different goals and aspiration, but we also, I think we rubbed off each other a lot.
I rubbed off on you.
More. I will say that is so true. So you gave me that thought of becoming a bit more open-minded about what's out there. Like, you were always going and figuring things out and coming home was like, oh, check this out. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And when life hits you in the face, that's when you start opening your eyes a bit more.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that you came and showed me different ways and showed me different things and opened that little entrepreneurial trait that I had in me that I never thought existed.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having a conversation with you one day. We were driving a number of years ago, and I reminded you of this yesterday when we just, putting these thoughts together about what to say in this video. And I remember you saying, like, I just really don't see myself being a business owner or an entrepreneur. I just see myself within a career. And at this time, you were working in a very high-end luxury retail. You've become an assistant manager, quite well paid, and really doing well for yourself. But, this is I don't know if this contributed towards those thoughts and helped made you think that there wasn't anything outside of your career prospects, but it's you've definitely grown and evolved over time. And you definitely now think very differently, and I think that's because maybe I've rubbed off onto you, you've rubbed off onto me, we've seen different things. We're a little bit older now. Like I said, we've been together nearly a decade, and we've experienced a lot of things. You've had a lot of hardship and difficult moments in your life, which we will talk about in other videos as well. Some very deep and personal stuff, which we hope that will impact you guys and you guys will be able to relate to. But yeah, look, ultimately
we understood that being different is a good thing. Having different goals and aspiration is okay as a couple, and the most important thing is to support those dreams
100%
and those goals, and that's how you grow together, as long they are within the same values. I think that's the most important thing. Even though we had different aspirations and goals, you were more like, let me go out there and see what's out there and create this and explore everything, where I was like, oh no, let me stay behind the confined environment of my lab and do this research. But we had common values. And I think that helped us a lot in in terms of supporting each other as a couple.
And I think that brings us on to our next point of not really disagreeing or shutting down your significant other before you've really heard out what they had to say. I've been very, very blessed with the allowances Nari makes for me. And what I mean by that is I do some crazy things sometimes, and I really make some big moves or some big commitments with sometimes not thinking it through fully. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, perhaps a little bit selfishly, because I think, what do I want, right? And I know it will benefit Nari as well, but sometimes I just am so sure of what I'm talking about or thinking of. This is kind of like the road we go down. And Nari's very, very supportive. I'll give you guys an example. We ended up, I'm kind of a lot about mentorship courses, whatnot, which I've learned over the last few years, personal development. And one day I came home and said to Nari, hey, look, there's this mentorship that I think would be good for us obviously, but it was just me going on the course, so it came me, but us, because it would help us grow, because I can relay that information, and what I learned from that mentorship, we can do together. And but I said it's X amount of money, and it wasn't cheap, right? So I was like, I think we should sell the car. And I
love that car.
It was a nice car. It wasn't like wow, but it was a decent car, right? It wasn't a tin can. It wasn't a £500 car or £1,000 car. And after a discussion, she said, okay, let's do it. So we sold our car. We took everything that we made from that sale of the car, plus some, and we invested it into this mentorship.
I mean, the way I see it, and in terms of supporting dreams, who am I to deny him that dream? This is always the way I see things, and you're the same. Let's be honest, you're the same. I don't come up with crazy things, but you're the same. And we both believe more you than I became more interested in mentorship and leadership and things like that. It's just because I was so academic, so everything was objective for me and factual, so it's 1 + 1 = 2, no discussion. And then you open the mind to, it's true, you open my mind to understanding, no, maybe 1 + 1 = 4, and we just don't know. And that's not the correct maths, by the way. It's just an example.
That's what she means when she says I wasn't that academic.
Well, yeah, and I've always thought like, why would I deny him that dream of him? Like, let him try, and if he failed, it's fine. At the end of the day, money is just money. Car is just a car. All these things are material things. The emotional and spiritual support that we give each other is more important than that financial need. I mean, I'm not telling you guys to go and sell your houses and go after that dream of yours, but if you truly believe deep down that is something that's within your core and you have so much faith into it, why would I tell you no?
100%. I think I think this comes back to like values and ethics and whatnot as well, because I know you always said to me that your father was quite, he was a very giving man, and when it came to money, he didn't second guess it, and I think that's also contributed towards me being able to do things like that, and us having the same values, because our values are we want to live a good quality of life, but our goals in the beginning were Nari was going to do that through a career focused way, and I wanted to do that through being free and not having a boss and doing my own thing and not being controlled by anything or anyone or any entity. But because we were both like, but we're doing this because we want that good quality of life.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what made it very easy to kind of come to, a decision together that this is the path that we can take. And by the way, I always seek permission. I don't mean she says, yes, you can do that. But what I mean is I always make sure she's okay with the moves that we're about to make or I'm about to make, because if something goes wrong, like you sell your car and you invest in a mentorship, for example, then what you don't want, and this is a very good point, what you can't then do to your partner, if you've agreed with it, is then turn around and say, oh yeah, but you did this, because that is really not going to help your relationship. And it just sets you on a path of destruction, because the other person will always someone will always be reminding the other person in the relationship that things are not great because of what you did. And it just makes it very difficult to build a foundation and a strong relationship. That's the thing, like we've invested, I've never even bothered to work it out, but a lot of money, thousands and thousands of pounds, probably even tens of thousands of pounds. And this is the crazy thing, right? We don't believe necessarily, and we'll speak about this in other videos, in saving for a deposit and buying a house, and no disrespect to anyone that believes that. That's absolutely amazing. And we support you in that. But that's not our way of doing things. But all the money that we've invested over the years, we could have easily put down a deposit on a nice house and be paying a mortgage and be living somewhere very nice right now. And I know you're probably seeing our surroundings thinking, oh, you live somewhere quite nice right now, and we'll explain that in another video. But that is the path that we just chose not to take. And Nari was cool with that, and I was cool with that. So whatever happens, whether it's good, bad, we lose money, we make money, whatever, none of us ever turn to the other person and say, oh yeah, but because. Does that make sense? So that's very, very important.
It is 100%. And it's funny you say that, because like the mentorship he was talking about, we went into this venture and it did not work out. And we've put thousands of pounds on it, and at the end it was a good experience, because the network that we've built, the Rolodex that we grew, and the people that we met and the connection that we made was worth it, I shall say.
100%.
That's more worth it than anything. And if you out there understand this, your network is your net worth. So at the end of the day, it's not how much money you have in your bank account that really matters. And I think it's something that we both understood quite nicely. And it's the same thing when I decided to leave my job. And so I remember I sat down and I was like, I just became a mom, and I'm thinking, okay, do I actually want to go back to work? And which I did not want to. And so I volunteered for a redundancy, which was accepted, thankfully. And I turned to him and I was like, listen, I don't think I want to go back to work. And he said, okay, let's come up with a plan.
We'll figure it
out. That's what we did. We figured 100%. It out. We replaced that income. And I think that's what's important about not disagreeing without hearing them out, because it's so important that you're in tune of your partners, what they want to do and everything, and respect that as well. Because at the end of the day, we're a couple, true, we have the same goals going to the same directions, but we're both individuals as well. And we both have this need to grow independently of each other.
Yeah. And I think that brings us on to the final point that we're probably going to speak about in this particular video, but is, be willing to compromise. So everything we've already discussed, everything Nari just mentioned, sometimes you won't necessarily get it. Like with Nari taking redundancy, for example, I fully got it. But, in the back of my mind, maybe I was thinking, okay, but how are we going to replace that income? And that's actually something we're still working on right now. But we figured out a plan and we came to, a mutual agreement. And, not once has anyone turned around and said, what we said previously, but it's about compromising as long as it's in line with your values and what you believe in. Let's take it out a completely different example. Let's say someone was really into fitness and their goal was to, I don't know, perform, so do competitions, and they had to eat a certain way, for example, or they had to sleep a certain number of hours, and let's say the other partner liked to go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, but the one that was pushing for this competition only ate at exact certain times and only went to bed at a very strict time, 9 p.m. every day. It's very easy for the other person to turn around and say, you don't spend time with me. And this is the most important thing, I think, with relationships. You have to be willing to understand what someone else is trying to achieve and what their goal is, and try and be in tune with that, because that's ultimately going to help you understand what it is they're trying to do and why they're doing it, and really help you guys understand one another. Does that make sense? I think
100%.
So yeah,
totally agree.
She agrees.
No, but it's true. It is so true. You need to understand in a relationship, whether it comes to an emotional one, a financial one, or anything, and if you have a partner involved, you need to be willing to make some sacrifices. It's the time where you need to become a bit selfless. It's not about what you need and want all the time. And I think that's what love and everything comes in tune with. I'm not saying that if you're going through a rough patch that it doesn't happen. Just work through it. Just really work through it and understand it, and be okay with making those sacrifices, more importantly. So that's why I think we communicate quite openly about everything. Quite openly.
We do. Sometimes it's not always at this tone, which is okay. But we have a good understanding, and we've got a lot of respect for one another as well. It never gets that heated where we, break out into swearing at one another or throw things across the room or anything like that. Yeah. And this is ethics that we were talking about, and values for me personally, because I think sometimes once that line's crossed, what your line is, like, for example, if Nari swore at me and that's my line, it just rubs me up. It would rub me up the wrong way, and I'm sure vice versa. And it's just basically ultimate disrespect. I'm not saying if you guys swear at each other in your relationship, that's a problem. What I'm saying is, in our relationship, we made an agreement that we don't swear at each other.
Absolutely.
I don't mean, sometimes you slip a word out here. I mean, when you say, physically swearing at someone, because for us, that's ultimate disrespect. And then this is just the beginning of a broken trust in a relationship. We personally believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so look, there's so many things we will be speaking about in regards to relationships, how we personally do it, not how you guys should necessarily do it. It's always based off our own experience. But there's too much to fit into one video. We're going to be speaking about a lot more topics over the next few weeks, months, and years. So as always, we hope you've enjoyed this video.
And if you have more comments or anything, or you can even tell us what works for you as a couple and what you aspire to. Let us hear about it. And just don't forget to message us below, and we'd be more happy to read your comments.
Absolutely.
Okay.
On that note,
Bye-bye
like,
now.
subscribe, bye bye, and peace out.
Peace out.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.